Hey drummers, it's Rob here from drumsandword.com. As it's the season to be jolly, I thought I'd give you a free video drum lesson teaching you a song from start to finish. The song I wanted to choose was suggested on my Facebook page, All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey. I love this song, it's so Christmassy, it's also a lot of fun to play. There's some really cool basic grooves going on, and then there's some really nice triplety drum fills as we go across. You can get the free PDF for the full drum chart from my website. You'll find the link beneath this video. So make sure you have that printed out in front of you. It's certainly going to help you to follow along with this lesson. So the tempo is 150 BPM, we're going by this sort of tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've written on the chart, intro, in brackets, chart starts at 0:50. So what I've done is I've skipped that washy beginning part of the song where it's just crash cymbals and a few little bells. That's the kind of thing that a drummer would improvise and sort of play around with themselves. You don't have to worry about learning that note for note. That's kind of a feel thing. So the first 50 seconds of the song, you've got some washes going in time with the dramatic singing and stuff. But then the chart starts with this really cool triplet drum fill. So the first thing to understand is that the tempo going by 150 BPM, each one of those beats is we're gonna fill 3 notes per click. So if the tempo's this, we're gonna fill 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or 1 to antita, 2 to antita. However you want to count it, however you count it, we're feeling 3 notes per beat, triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So they're going by quite fast. So this first drum fill, we're using 3 toms. So I'm going to use, this is my high tom, this is my medium tom, and this is my floor tom. And the sticking throughout this lesson is going to be just suggested sticking. We'll go over some examples later on where the sticking I've given you on the chart might not be your favourite sticking. It might not even be the best sticking to use. It's just sort of the default sticking that most drummers would probably play it with. But we'll go over that as we come to it. There's a few things I want to talk about. So, like I said, the first drum fill starts on the high tom. We're looking at the 3rd bar. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, da da da. So to count it would be 1 triplet 2, 1 triplet, and that lut of the beat 1 is rested, coming in on 2. But to be able to count that out loud in this sort of tempo, you just want to feel it really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then the next note after that stays on the high tom. We've got this upbeat of beat 2. So we've got 1 triplet, 2 triplets. So that middle note of beat 2 is skipped. Again, it's going by a little bit too fast to be able to count this, but if you sort of hear this rhythm, da 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 da, so it skips across, lilts across it, da 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 da. So as you heard, the next part, starting from beat 3, we move to the next drum. So I've given the sticking right, left, but I might play it right, left. It doesn't really matter, but that's the suggested sticking. But you certainly want to try to start the medium tom on beat 3 with your right hand, because it's going to lend itself well to getting out of it nicely. So we get 3 triplets, 4 trip. So you notice that every beat, every 3 notes, the hands are going to alternate. This is going to cause some problems for some of the drum fills later on as we go over, but just be aware of that we've got these hand-to-hand patterns, and every beat they're going from right hand to left hand. So again, 3 triplet, 4 trip, and then continuing the right, left, we just come down to the floor tom for the last 2 notes of beat 4, 4 triplet 1. And there's a bass drum there on beat 1 of the next bar, but you can leave that out just to emphasise the downbeat of beat 1 of the next bar. So that bar slowly, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplets, 1 triplet, 2, sorry, to tell you the last 2 notes there that fall on the floor tom. Now throughout this song, If you want to change the orchestration, for example, you could play the last 3 notes on the floor tom instead of just the last 2 notes. But I'm giving you what I've heard on the recording, so this is what you hear. But as a drummer, you have every right to mix up the orchestration, especially for these drum fills just going around the toms. It really doesn't matter whether you play 3 here or 4 here. There might be 3 on the chart, but you might want to play 4 here just because it's more comfortable for your hands. Fine, go with that. Don't worry too much about learning this note for note, but I'm giving you the version on the recording. So that next bar, we've got beat 1 is floor tom and bass drum, ending for the last triplet bit, 1, and then we've got this sort of triplets shuffle rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And we're going to go into a crash cymbal on beat 1 after that drum fill, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. So that's 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, the last and the first note of each triplet. So the 2 bars together. And I accidentally there played exactly what I was talking about, played 3 notes at the end there on the floor tom. You might not have noticed because it's still in time, but that's not what's actually on the chart. So let me play that again for you. That was it that time. So as you heard, you've got a crash cymbal on the next line, beat 1, I call this verse 1, and the drum beat for this song is really nice and simple. We're playing what's known as 4 on the floor. The bass drum's pumping out quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just playing the hi-hat over the top, 1, 2, and snare drum on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's nice to keep that bass drum going underneath, even though it might be a little bit tricky for you to line up with the snare drum. I highly recommend it because it gets the pulse of the song going. That bass drum gives the song its pulse. So try to practice lining up the hands nicely there between the hi-hat, bass drum and floor tom when they fall down. Floor tom, bass drum, snare drum and hi-hat on beats 2 and 4 when they fall down together, all 3 of those limbs. So that drum beat gets played 8 times, 8 bars of that, and then the second line of verse 1, we've got another 8 bars of that drum beat, but then look at the end of that second line of verse 1, we've got another drum fill. So this time, we're going to be playing up to beat 2, 1, 2, and then we get, starting on the lut of beat 2, 1, 2 triplets, so it gives that shuffle, that last triplet note of beat 2. Then we go into what I've notated as the medium tom and floor tom. Now, throughout the rest of this song, I don't think there's any more high toms that I've notated. Oh, there is one later on the second page. But for the rest of this chart, apart from one on the drum fill, we haven't got any high tom. We're going to be playing on the medium tom. Now, this could be your high tom. I've got a weird setup. You could have a high tom here and then 2 floor toms. It doesn't matter. I'm going to call this my medium tom. That's what's written on the chart. But I think this is my high tom, really. I use this for extra stuff. So this is also going to help you with this kit setup, for example, to get from this drum to this drum. To get from this drum to this drum, if you're starting a drum fill with your right hand, 1 triplet, then the next, and you wanted to play 3, 3 for example, 1 triplet, your left hand then has to come cross over itself, which is kind of tricky. 1 triplet, 2 triplet. You can do it quite fast. It's not really a problem, but it feels a little bit uncomfortable. However, going from here to here, you're not really crossing over, you're sort of going underneath yourself. It's just a little bit easier, especially if you've got a normal setup where your medium tom is there, your floor tom is right here. So to go from your medium tom to your floor tom, there's actually no crossing over. But if you were to go from your high tom over here, there might be a little bit of crossing over, but from here to here, on a normal kit setup with 3 toms, that's going to be easy. That's why I've chosen the medium tom for most of the drums, but you could replace that medium tom with the high tom, whatever setup you've got. Hope I'm not overstating this point. So again, back to that drum fill. 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So 3 here and 3 here, and it starts with that snare drum note just before the medium tom. And 3 triplet, 4 triplet, that left hand on the snare drum. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. 1, 2. Just do the 2 bars, loop the round, because you might want to practice a drum beat with the drum fill. So you can loop these round in little groups of 2, like this. Almost messed up then. Messed up because I was talking. Accidentally played the improvisation there. 2 notes here and then 4 notes here. instead of 3, 3, I played 2, 4, because that's easier for a drummer, right? Because you're playing right, left, and your right hand starts the next group of 4, rather than right, and then left. But that's not what's on the recording. 1, 2, and 3, triplet, 4, triplet, 1. So there's that drum fill, and then we go on to chorus 1. But before we do that, let me play for what we got so far, just so you can listen to the drum beat, the drum fill and drum beat without my microphone on, so you can hear just the drums without me talking over the top of it. So just for fun, I'm going to play the first 2 lines of the chart, the intro drum fill, and then the first line of drum beat. Nice and simple. It sounds like this. Okay, so going on to chorus 1, and the drum beat just continues. Look out for the crash cymbal on beat 1 of the first bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. On it goes for another 8 bars. At the end of the first line of the chorus, though, we've got another drum fill. We've got up to beat 3. 1, 2, 3, and then from beat 3, we start playing a set of triplets. 3 triplet, 4 triplet, and it's simply 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So think of the hi-hat on beat 3 as the first note of the drum fill. 3 triplet 4, we go up to beat 4 on the snare drum, and then the last 2 notes, right, left, I've written on the chart, are going to be played on the medium tom, which means that your right hand's then going to come out on the crash cymbal. Now at this stage, a little trick I want to, something to point out I want to talk to you about briefly, is that if you've got a triplet fill starting on beat 3, so 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 6 notes in total, start it with your right hand. If you've got a triplet fill starting on beat 4, so just 3 notes, 4 triplet, start it with your left hand if you can, because then you're going to come out with your right hand on the crash cymbal. So there's a few other drum fills here where that becomes more relevant, especially on the second page, where we got some just 4 triplet, just 3 notes at the end of the bar, which you probably want to start with your left hand, so you come out with your right hand comfortably, but we'll go on to those later on. So that one there starts on beat 3, 6 notes, so start with your right hand, and then you're going to come out with your right hand. 1, 2, 3, triplet, 4 triplet, 1. 1, 2, 3, triplet, 4 triplet, 1. That's that drum fill there. On it goes to the next line, and we've got 4 bars for that second line of the chorus. Crash cymbal on beat 1 of the first bar, and then the drum fill at the end of that line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. So it's the same drum fill as the intro, the second bar of the drum fill from the intro, except this time we got the bass drum pumping underneath on the quarter notes to give those to give the 4 beats of the bar a bit more emphasis. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. And I've written left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and ending up on my left hand on the chart. I'm actually quite comfortable coming out with the left hand. If you're not, you might want to play 1, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So the other variation of drum fill to look out for, we've got the 6 notes starting on beat 3, we've got the 3 notes starting on beat 4. The other variation is 4 notes starting just before beat 4, so the lut 4 triplets, 4 notes there. If you've got that pattern, then start it with your right hand if you can, and you're going to end up on your right hand. So there's really just 3 sort of things to remember to get you through most of this song. If it's 6 notes long, start it on your right hand. If it's 3 notes long, start it on your left hand. If it's 4 notes long, then start it with your right hand. And that's the basic rule of thumb, and that'll get you through most of these drum fills. So that drum fill again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. Da 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 at the end there, and I chose to come out with my left hand. So then on to verse 2, and it goes on for another 8 bars, and we've got the drum fill at the end of the first line of verse 2. It's exactly the same as the drum fill at the end of the first line of the chorus 1, which is this one again. 1, 2, 3, triplet, 4 triplet 1. On to the next line, and at the end of that line we've got another drum fill, so let's go straight to that last bar of verse 2. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. So it's 1, 2, and then we got the and 3, and then again and 4 triplet 1. So if you want to get out of it correctly, start that and 4 triplet with your right hand. 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and 4 triplet 1. But be aware it's snare and then 3 notes on a tom of your choice. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 triplet 1. confusing myself because I'm having to think about it now, when before I've just sort of instinctively play and then come out on my left hand, and hopefully that doesn't catch me by surprise too much or come out on my right hand. But having to think about it makes it a little bit more complicated. But with a bit of practice, you'll spot when to use your right hand and when to use your left hand, hopefully. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. 1. Okay, then we go on to chorus 2. Here we go. The fourth bar there has a triplet drum fill starting on beat 4, just 3 notes. So that would be the time to start with your left hands. 1, 2, 3, 4 triplet 1. It's actually 4 triplet, that's the drum fill. Starting with your left hand feels quite natural, even though I've written it starting with your right hand on the chart, just because that's what most drummers do. They start with a right hand with a drum fill. Start with your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4 triplet 1. Then it goes on to the next section, and second half of that line, crash cymbal on beat 1. The drum fill at the end of chorus 2 is the same drum fill that we had at the end of verse 2, the first line. 1, 2, 3, triplet, 4, triplet, 1. Then the last line is just 4 bars long, crash cymbal on beat 1, and the drum fill at the end of that page, 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. So it's starting on the last note of beat 2, 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And the last 2 notes are played up on the medium tom in this case. 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. And you go out the crash on beat 1. So that one, to be comfortable, you start as I suggested. Start with your left hand there. So then goes on to the second page, which I've called the bridge. So the drum beat doesn't change. We've just got another drum fill at the end of the first line, which is the same as that drum fill we talked about at the bottom of page 1. It's starting on beat 4, 4 triplets, and you start with your left hand, you should come out nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4 triplet, 1. Then it goes on. We start to get a little bit more crash cymbal heavy here. So every 2 bars is a crash cymbal on beat 1. So the first bar, the third bar, the fifth bar, the sixth bar. The sixth bar is where we start a drum fill. 7th bar, sorry. It's the first bar, the third bar, the fifth bar. You know what I mean, you can see on the chart. Every 2 bars you get a crash cymbal on beat 1. My maths is terrible. So that second to last bar of that line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So we got this last note on beat 4 leading into the long drum fill, which is a whole bar of triplets. Start with your right hand and you come out okay. It's 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplets. That's what it is there. So it's the last 3 notes there lend themselves nicely to the sticking. Left, right, left. Medium, then 2 floor toms, then crash. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. That's really nice. Let's loop that round a few times, the 2 bars together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. That nice, it comes out of the toms really nicely, that one. Yeah, one more time, up to tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go on to verse 3, and the drum fill at the end is a drum fill we've gone over in previous sections. It's the 3 triplet, 4 triplet drum fill. Chorus 3, we've got a new drum fill on the 4th bar. 1, 2, and 3, and then it's and 4 triplets. That high tom gets used again. High, so high, and 4 triplets, and 4 triplets. Come out with your left hand. You probably want to use this sticking because it lends itself nicely from going around the drums, but you could change it around if you wanted to. Comes out with the left hand. So that drum fill, 1, 2, and 3, and 4 triplet. 1, 2, and 3, and 4 triplets. It's a nice little drum fill, that. It then goes on, we've got a crash cymbal on beat 1 of every bar after that. And then the very last bar of that line, of chorus 3, the first line, we've got 1, 2. So a crash cymbal on beat 1 and on beat 2 with the snare drum and bass drum. I like to do different crash cymbals to give them, separate them. 1, 2, 3, 4. That rest of that bar is rested out. And then the drums come back in on the second bar. We skip over beat 1, skip over beat 2, but we come in at the end of beat 2. So that last triplet note just before beat 3, you've got to feel this 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1, 2, da 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 da. So we get 1, 2, and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. And it's a flam on beat 1 of the next bar. But before the flam, the and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, all played on the snare drum, we're going from quiet to loud. And 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. And 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. So, putting that flam in on beat 1, it can be quite tricky. The sticking I use, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and then a left-hand flam, right hand comes down first. That's the way I prefer to play it. I find that I've got that movement down pretty good at this tempo. But if you can't play that flam on beat 1, then leave it out and just play a single note. Like that instead. It doesn't really matter about the flam, but it's cool if you can keep it in, because it's a nice little idea there. Building up in volume and then blam into a flam on the snare drum. It then continues though, so you've got to be ready. Floor tom and snare drum together, could be these two drums. This sounds better. We got the 1 at the beginning, and then and 2 and 3 and this is the trickier bit. The last note of beat 3 is both drums there, and then we've got 4 triplet. So we've got to be able to play and 4 triplet. If you're not used to that, it can feel a bit weird. And it's going to come out of your right hand there. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1. So the 2 bars together, 1, 2 and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1. 1, 2 and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. And I do that quite a bit. Because I'm trying to copy another drummer's playing, it's not something I would feel comfortable playing, so I find it's awkward, and you can see I've made loads of mistakes there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1, but that's the drum fill. Let me try and play it for you properly. 1, 2 and 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. There we go. Once once I've learnt the movement and what hand's coming out of where, it's actually okay for me. So let's go on then to the next line, line 3 of chorus 3. The drum fill at the end of the 4th bar. 4 triplet, 1 is that drum fill again. Crash cymbal on beat 1 of bar 5, and then the last drum fill of that line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1. So we've gone over those kind of ideas before as well. And then the next line I've written note starts to fade out, so at this point on the record it starts to fade out. And we've got the drum fill at the in bar 4, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. So if you use sticking suggested and start with your left hand, you're going to come out with your left hand at the end of beat 1 of the next bar. But notice it's all on the snare drum, and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, apart from the last 2 notes up on the medium tom. 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. The next drum fill at the end of that line starts on beat 1. It's a whole bar of it, and it's going to end up coming out nicely with the right hand, because you're starting with your right hand, and you've got 12 notes, 2 times 6. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. And I played it wrong there. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. It's because I've been doing the left-right every time. Now it's back to normal. I'm doing right-left, and now it's confusing me. You'll probably find all these things happen to you as well. But like I said earlier on, don't worry about getting the number of hits on each of the correct toms as written on the chart. Go out of the drum fill your own way. As long as you're comfortable with the left or right hand coming out, it doesn't matter what toms or how many times you play the toms at the end of the drum fill. It really doesn't matter. So then the very last line, we've got, before the song completely fades out, that last bar there, 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So back to that good old simple basic one. 3 here, 3 here. 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. I had to cross my hand over there, and so it looked a bit awkward because it was for me. So before we end, let me just play through the last part of the song. I'm going to play from the beginning of chorus 3 all the way to the end of the song so we can hear what all that sounds like played up to speed. So there you go, that's the whole song. I hope I didn't overcomplicate things too much with the sticking, but I just thought it'd be nice to talk about it. The triplet thing comes up again and again. It's one of those problems that a lot of beginner drummers have when they're playing triplets, is that alternating hand thing. It can be confusing, so forgive me if I talked a little bit about that in this lesson. I thought it was important. If you've got any questions, you can always email me, rob@drumstheword.com. Don't forget to download the free PDF for this lesson. And if you've got any of your own suggestions for songs, then check out my Facebook page. Come along, say hi, post your suggestions on my page. That would be great as well. I've also got a Twitter account if you're interested. Now, the other thing I do these lessons for is to promote my business, drumstheword.com. You sign up for a membership at my website, and what you get access to are hundreds, over 200 full song lessons, just like this one today. You get the full chart, the full lesson from start to finish, every single bar, and there's over 200 famous songs now which you can watch instantly by signing up to become a member. It's $97 for the year. You also get access to 3 free PDF ebooks I wrote, containing hundreds of drum beats, fills and solos, and then hundreds of other freebies, little videos which I've done over the years, teaching you famous beats, fills, solos from songs. So I think it's a real bargain. You can watch a video on my website with me explaining how it all works. Again, if you've got any questions, please feel free to email me. So until next time, I hope you have a great holiday period. I'm going to have a great Christmas. Toodle pip, and I'll see you very soon.